Tuesday, May 10th, 8:09 p.m. Eastern Time. My name is Brian, and this is the Center Aisle. Did Congress vote against the Iran war? Technically, no, not successfully today. But they've repeatedly tried to limit Trump's war powers through the war powers resolution process. And here's where it gets politically hilarious. Now follow me. The same Democrats who screamed, Bush lied us into Iraq, weapons of mass destruction, and ring a bell? Presidents can't wage endless wars. Congress must approve military action, are now suddenly discovering that, now listen, some of them support military escalation when politically convenient. Oh, come on. While Republicans who usually defend executive powers are suddenly becoming constitutional purists. You heard that right. Washington is basically playing ideological musical chairs right now. My friends, I will break down this political circus. Oh, please stay with me on this. What is the War Powers Resolution? I covered some of this in a previous video. I'll try and put it so you guys can watch that one as well. After Vietnam, Congress passed the War Powers Resolution. The idea, a president can respond to emergencies quickly. But after roughly 60 days of military hostilities, keyword hostilities, Congress must authorize continuing the war. Operation Epic Fury ended. They all said it. That's the entire fight right now. Trump argues, I'm defending U.S. interest and responding to threats. Death to America, kill all Jews. For 47 years, that's all we've heard. Critics argue, you can't run a full regional war without Congress. And honestly, there's constitutional ground for both arguments. Yes, I said that. Both arguments, Democrat, Republican, both arguments. That's why this hasn't become such a political mess. It has become a political mess. That is for sure. The votes here is the complete breakdown of these votes. March 4th, Senate vote. First major attempt to stop or limit operations against Iran. Result, it failed. Votes 53 to 47 against the resolution. What mattered? Almost all Democrats voted yes. Almost all Democrats voted yes. Most Republicans voted no. Republican Senator Rand Paul crossed over. Whereas my man, this isn't a secret, my man John Fetterman, who is not a Democrat anymore, he is a Republican, I wish he just went to the center of the aisle, voted against limiting Trump. I do like him because he votes with common sense. That alone tells you this was not a clean partisan issue. In April, there's more votes that failed. Congress kept trying. April 15th, Senate. Another war powers vote. Result, failed again. Vote 52 to 47. And again, Rand Paul voted with Democrats. Fetterman sided with Republicans. He's keeping it real anyway. At this point, the Senate basically turned into what we all love to hate so much. Constitutional conservatives versus intervention hawks versus political survival mode. House vote, the real drama. This is always the drama. April 16, House of Representatives. This one got really close. The result, it failed. Vote 214 to 213. Let me say that again, 214 to 213. Why this mattered? Republican Congressman Thomas Massie sided with Democrats. Meanwhile, Democrat Jared Golden voted against the resolution. Again, party lines completely scrambled. Then things got really weird. And when I say weird, I mean weird. The administration argued the war technically ended because of the ceasefire. This is where critics exploded. This is why everybody's getting mad that we're not firing back when we're getting fired upon. Politically, it would be a nightmare for Trump. Because even after claiming hostilities had ended, carriers stayed deployed. We took one back. Strikes remained possible. Blockade operations continued and still continued as of today. The military posture never truly disappeared. Does posture mean war? Maybe egging it on, but I don't think that it means war. If so, we're starting wars all over because we have military presence all over this globe. So critics accuse the White House of ending the war on paper without ending the war in reality. Now, be careful here. Don't think that I'm saying I agree or disagree. I'll give you mine at the end, as I always do. Honestly, that line is politically devastating because average Americans, you and I, understand exactly what that means. He's secretly holding a war, basically. Senate gets closer. Another Senate vote results, it failed again, 50 to 49. The Senate voted 50 to 49. Imagine if Fetterman wouldn't have crossed over. This was important because more Republicans broke ranks. Rand Paul, Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski. Everybody write those names down if it's your representative. Write them and ask them why. That signaled Republican unity on Iran was starting to crack, which is unbelievable that that would happen. Today, May 19th, this is what moves forward. The Senate voted 50 to 47 to advance another war powers measure. Now, be careful and listen. This is very important. This was mostly procedural, meaning it advances debate, keeps the resolution alive, and increases pressure politically. I don't know if they understand this or not, but he's not running again. Speaking of President Trump. But it is not fully passed yet. Okay, this is the center of the aisle takeaway. This is me, this is my opinion. Both sides look ridiculous depending on what year you pull the tape from. Democrats, I was there once, no longer, trust me. Democrats spent 20 years saying presidents cannot wage unauthorized wars. Now some suddenly support aggressive intervention if framed as anti-Iran, pro-Israel, or anti-Trump resistance politics. Republicans, here we go, spent decades expanding executive war powers until suddenly some are now actually Article 1 of the Constitution matters. Somehow now it does. And the truth, both parties helped create this monster. Both of them, Democrats and Republicans, created this mess. Bush expanded the war powers. Now listen to this list. Obama expanded drone warfare. Trump pushed executive authority further, and still is and still will. Biden normalized global strike flexibility. Biden actually did something. He wasn't asleep all the time. Now Congress suddenly remembered it exists again. Suddenly, they remembered it exists again. Convenient timing, wouldn't you say? Where this goes next? 3 possible outcomes. Let me think this through so I get it right. Congress can finally pass a restriction, possible but still difficult. Trump vetoes it, very likely if it passes, but I don't think it will. And if it does, we really look bad. The war officially stays paused while military operations quietly continue. Honestly, Washington loves this option because Nobody owns the war politically at this point. Nobody technically ends it. So everyone gets to campaign on outrage. It's not on the wedge votes like guns or pro-life, or it's the classic DC strategy. Fund it, condemn it, campaign it, repeat. That, folks, is pure center of the aisle material right there. And one last thing I want to mention, and I do not understand to the life of me why these politicians can't set politics aside and understand what they're doing. To go against the president now is a Democrat or Republican or anybody is doing nothing but feeding into Iran's hands. If you don't think for a second that Iran watches our politics and understands our Constitution, they understand our politics, they understand our votes, they understand Democrats and Republicans, and that's why they drag this out, to make it politically suicidal and costly. In my opinion, this is exactly why Trump is still sitting in a stalemate. He knows politically he's skating on thin ice right now. However, if this went to court, and I don't see it getting that far, but if it does, the courts are not going to rule one way or the other. They're going to say this is not a matter for the court. So what can the Democrats basically do? Cut funding. I think the problem is, though, that all the munitions and ships and everything else is already there. And I know they probably have a slush fund sitting around somewhere they can use. But think about this. We're arguing over whether we're going to go to war with somebody that we've already been bombing the hell out of. And we want to pull back now? The number one world power with the number one military, and we want to pull back now. So the billions of money, billions of dollars we've already spent on this war, the excessive gas prices we've been paying because we price globally, regardless of what it is. If we don't price globally, then they stop feeding the shareholders, and the shareholders shut them down, and then we don't sell oil. We would be committing suicide, not continuing with this. Do you know what we would... We're already leaving with NATO, in my opinion. Nothing reported on that yet. Nothing for sure. That's my opinion. I think NATO has seen its days with the United States of America. I'm kind of on the fence on that one. I haven't really thought that much about it because I'm still having heartburn over what's going on right now. For us to sit back and say, no, we're not going to continue to fight this fight is ludicrous. They killed thousands of Americans. They continue to kill thousands of Iranians. They bomb our allies on a daily basis, even during a ceasefire. They lied to us about nuclear ambitions. They continue to lie to us about nuclear ambitions. They cost us billions of dollars to monitor these people. Will we get rid of the regime? Absolutely not. Are we going to have to monitor it? Well, it'll be us or somebody else in NATO that's going to do it. And I'm guessing it's going to be NATO because, again, we don't have energy dependency on this Strait of Hormuz. But there's other parts that are going to come into play. You're going to get the Houthis that's going to shut down the strait over in the Red Sea. I mean, there's so many more things that's going to happen. If we don't continue this now and back out, what do you think is going to happen to our allies because they have nobody to help them? And as far as I'm concerned, they fired on Qatar, which is our military base. They fired on our military bases. We're only doing what we're supposed to be doing. We are there in a completely defensive posture. Is it political? Yes, it is. But you know what? It's also true. We did not fire a shot unless it was protection or to stop the funding of a terrorist organization. And we don't negotiate or help fund a terrorist organization. So with that said, that's the politics of the United States of America, that we vote into office every year. And I'm not saying anybody voted wrong, and I'm not saying anybody voted right, but something's got to give. What it is, I don't know. But I can't imagine the laughingstocks the United States of America is going to be if we discontinue what we're doing now. That's just giving them a gold card to say, build as many nukes as you want. Here, we'll even pay for it. With that, my name is Brian, and this has been your Center Aisle Breakdown.